It'll probably. Oh, okay. You're live now, so.
Well, hello everybody. This is take two of the Upper Deck. I'm Lynn. Next to me today, it is my pleasure to have my friend Chris joining us while Sierra's away. And sorry for the blip at the beginning, but we are live now and just trying to figure this out as we go along. Um, Chris, thank you so much for joining. And
Anytime.
why don't you tell me what's been going on with you in life, in podcast, in baseball, everything to catch up on.
All right. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you for inviting me. Yeah, I don't want to get into too much of life, but the podcast I used to co-host, Talking Rivals, we're gonna go on a little bit of a extended break here from that. Patrick wanted to get back into writing. He's a great author. I love Patrick. If you're into books, reading books, definitely check him out. Patrick Trotty writes a bunch of books. Awesome guy. But he just wanted to get back into his writing more and take a break. So, but I did start up a new podcast, co-hosting with my friend Rob, and it's called the NY Baseball Talk podcast, and we cover the Yankees and we cover the Mets. So basically, same thing as Talking Rivals, just with the Mets instead of the Red Sox, and we get into MLB. So that's what I've been doing the last couple of weeks. We just got our feet wet. We're just starting. We're only on Spotify for now, so we'll be out on more channels as we go forward. But we're just kind of warming it up now. But I'm so happy to be here today with you, Lynn, because I know we have a couple of things to talk about from yesterday. So
Just a few little
yeah,
things, and thanks to the technology snafu, all of my bells and whistles are gone, and the Type A Virgo in me is so annoyed by that. But yeah, I think we're going to be able to very perfectly describe what's going to be going on the screen. And FJ and Karen, thank you for finding your way back to us. Technology, I don't know, and certainly not the master of it. So thank you for figuring it out. I don't even know how we got back here. So good to have you here, and also others will start catching on that we're back live again. But I wanted to start off the show, Chris. Acknowledging that today is Roberto Clemente Day across MLB, and to just take a moment to honor his legacy, as I think all baseball clubs are today. So I think baseball fans know that Roberto Clemente was a baseball great who died tragically in 1972 in a plane crash on his way to a mission in Nicaragua, where he was going to be delivering supplies to earthquake victims down there. And that was a sudden tragic loss, and speaks to the kind of human being he was, in regard to the very reason why he was on that plane. And so there's a Roberto Clemente Award that gets awarded every year, and each MLB team nominates a person who fits the profile of doing good for the community and for the game of baseball. And the Yankees nominee this year is Marcus Stroman. Do you have any feelings about the pick this year?
I'll be honest. I'm a little surprised it was him and not Judge, because we know what kind of off the field stuff Judge does, and also Anthony Rizzo, what he does with the cancer and all that. So yeah, but I think it just shows Stroman's is a really a good guy. I mean, I know sometimes we have different words for him after he pitches, but listen, he's a great guy off the field. Obviously, if he's getting nominated for this award or elected as the Yankee pick. So, I mean, congratulations to Marcus Stroman, because obviously he does amazing work,
Yep,
away from the game. So
that's
good for
right.
him.
Right. And he has his own foundation. Um, you know, um, and the name is escaping me because I'm still so friggin' annoyed from the technology issues. It, it's rent free in my head right now. But it's something like height to heart or something like that. Foundation, and he does a lot of work in the community for that. And so just a quick mention about Clemente, that he is a Hall of Famer and is right to be in the Hall of Fame, however short his career was cut. 3,000 career hits, 317 batting average, and 2 World Series championships with the Pirates.
You could add 15-time All-Star, 12-time Gold Glove, arguably the greatest right fielder in baseball.
Right.
Like you said, World Series MVP, regular season MVP. Yeah, pretty amazing. 4-time batting champ. I mean, the guy was easily one of the greatest players to ever play the game, and obviously one of the greatest guys off the field as well. And I looked it up just so you know. The foundation that Marcus Stroman set up is called Height Doesn't Measure Heart. And you can follow it on Twitter at HDMH Foundation. So give them a follow and see what they're about, you know.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for looking that up. And I had the height and the heart part right. It was all those words in between.
Yeah, you got most of it.
You're a great partner there. You know, and I just want to, you know, also mention that like so many others that broke the ground for more and more people of color entering the game. Clemente faced a lot of struggles among his own teammates, and you know, and the press alike, who were very unkind to him in ways that we don't need to go into here. And so it's good to know that from wherever he is, he's sitting and watching the progress that we're making, not just as baseball, as MLB, but as the society as a whole. Right. And we just can't go back to that. And we're steadily moving away from it, which is great to see. But he took his lumps and didn't even know he was being made fun of because he didn't understand the language. And also he wasn't a power hitter, which is what the expectation was. But all those things you just mentioned, Chris, I mean, it just goes to show you, Aaron Judges of the game come along once in every other generation or every generation if you're lucky. Yep. It doesn't mean that you're not a great. And so salute to the memory of Roberto Clemente and all that came before him, and the great ones that we'll be talking about again at some point again in the future. And so, and chat, you know what, my friends in the chat, I don't know how you found me. I couldn't even leave breadcrumbs. I was in such a panic 15 minutes ago when I don't even know what happened with the technology, but Chris talked me through it. I didn't even have to phone a friend. He's like,
there you go.
Try this, try that. Because we didn't lose each other.
No.
We just lost connection with the rest of the world. So some of the cool bells and whistles I had planned went away with the technology, but that's probably a sign from the universe that I shouldn't have been as mean as I was intending to be.
Oh, we're still going to be mean. Don't worry, Lynn.
We'll still be mean. Yes. But some of the video clips and such that I have of a certain pitcher whose number might be 45, you know, won't be shown now. So I guess that was karma telling me, hey, keep yourself golden, kid. And I got my little comeuppance from karma there. But CT, Lou, Karen, FJ, Jonathan, Gregory, Eunice, Michael, CT, Egyptian magician. Oh, Egyptian magician, what is your magic spell today? We're really going to need that. So get to work. Just thank you for being with us. And FG's throwing down the facts that Clemente's 3,000th career hit was off of John Matlack.
Nice.
I did not even know that. So the other thing I want to do at the top of the show, as always, is share Spencer's trivia question of the week. So here it is, guys. Nope, this is not the right one. Wow. Okay. taken that off the stage, and I am going to read you Spencer's trivia question of the week. Wow, you just can't make this shit up. Okay. So here it is from Spencer. I'm reading from my phone, unless that also blows up on me. So this year marks the 20th anniversary of the most momentous times in Yankees history. The Boston Red Sox comeback victory after being down 3 games in the 2004 ALCS to defeat the Yankees 4-3. The Yankees seem to have everything in order after a 19-7 win in Game 3, but after that, things all fell apart. Oh, so history seems to repeat itself, because that's also sounding familiar right now. And Spencer's just talking about how hard it was to leave the stadium and face all the Red Sox fans at the end of Game 7, when ultimately the Sox took the ALCS from us in 4 straight games after we won the first 3. So the question is, who was, and he says this for a reason, I'm sure, who was the wall-punching pitcher that was the starter for the Yankees in that final game? So we're not going back that far, 2004. I remember, Pepperidge Farm remembers, I'm sure a lot of us remember that series. That would be painful against any team.
That one's never going to be forgotten.
2004. I remember that I was at a flea market approaching the postseason time, and there was a vendor from Massachusetts there in his Red Sox gear, and I had a Yankee hat on, and we had words, and I said, I only have one thing to say to you, 1918, and I walked away. And what happened? Thank God. I never went back to that flea market again. I was afraid to
now we can't say that anymore. Now it's us with the longer, the longer gap.
Absolutely. And so I'm seeing guesses in the chat. So good for you guys. FJ is saying John Lieber. Michael's saying Kevin Brown. 2 really good guesses. I'm not going to tell you till the end, as you know. And Chris, if you could help my feeble technology impaired mind
sure.
to give the answer at the end, because
sure.
I'm not trusting myself with nothing today.
Well, you got to get. I could look it up actually.
Oh no, I have the answer. I just want to remember to say it at the end in case.
Okay, I think I know what it is. Like I'm.
Yeah,
I'm
do okay.
I think, but I'll leave it go. Until then.
Okay, thank you. You're great partners. So, well, let's talk about the Royals for a second, just because we won. So, like, woohoo! Week started out good.
Very good.
Yeah, that was good. Okay, got a couple of more boxes checked. Rose a little bit in the standings. We were 3 games ahead. And now not quite as pretty as we were yesterday. So let's talk about this Red Sox series and get the monkey out of the closet about the whole thing.
Okay.
So I mean, great things happened Game 1 and Game 2, right?
Yes.
Chris,
the walk-off wins, right?
Yeah. What was your takeaway about the game on Thursday with Soto and etc.?
Oh, that was a great way to finish it. Yeah, I mean, we still got to see the offense get more consistent. It seems like we get into these ruts where the offense just isn't getting on base as much, isn't getting the big hit as much, and then they'll get the big hit. Like we have to get more consistency, especially going into the playoffs, because as we know, the last few years, the offense is what's let us down in the playoffs, not the pitching. And the pitching has gotten better over, excluding yesterday. Let's not count yesterday. But, the bullpen's been much better. Let's hope Weaver could be our closer. I mean, that would be great, because if he's the closer, then everything else kind of falls into place, right? And the rotation's getting better because you got Hill back. You got Clark Schmidt back. So you got to feel good about the pitching. It's the offense that, has to get into some kind of consistency scoring runs, especially going into the playoffs. So that's my only negative that I've seen lately with the Yankees. And the big thing is Judge, right? Judge went 16 games without hitting a home run, and we know the offense goes when Judge goes, right? If Judge is
That's
hitting,
right.
the rest of the lineup hits. So he's got to get going.
That's 100% right. And yep. And the other thing is that let's talk about the pitching for a minute. And I see some mentioning starting going on in the chat, and the whole relegation to the bullpen seat thing that we're starting to get into. So Cortez comes to mind when we're talking about Thursday night, a really solid outing from him, right? I mean, 9 strikeouts, I think,
Cortez was great.
in 5 1-run innings. So not the best, but but he's taking it for the team. What'd you say?
I said I'll take that every time from him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, especially compared to what we were seeing earlier on in the season.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the start of, and for a long time we had been talking on the show about, and some people even predicted it, or said that that's what the team should be doing, is Nestor should be in the pen when Schmidt returns, etc. Now it's looking like a little bit of nobody is going to be immune from the pen at this point. I mean, now we have Stroman taking a sit out and heading to the pen. And it's not a commentary on his last outing, which was also fine from him. It's what we have come to expect, from him. And so it's not a punishment, but it's like your turn to the pen.
Well, you got to remember too, they're trying to set up, I think, their playoff rotation too, right? Cole's going to be the 1. Rodon is probably going to be the 2 or 3. And you got to think Hill is your top 3 rotation spots. You don't need more than 3 starters especially in that first round. The second round, you might need a 4th starter. That's where it might get tricky. Maybe Clark Schmidt becomes the 4th starter, and that's your 4-man rotation. So Cortez will probably be in the bullpen. Stroman may not even make the postseason roster at this point.
Yeah, and let's also say that Schmidt had a solid return.
Yeah, he looked good.
And so I think it was 2 earned runs, and he went into the 6th.
Yeah,
I think he went deep into the 6th.
Hey, for his first start back, that was pretty good.
Yeah, this whole usual, give him some time to stretch out and adjust and reacclimate stuff. He had been saying it for days and weeks and years. It seemed like, I don't want rehab games. I'm ready. So at least he put his money in it, where his mouth was the other night.
Right.
So so that was the game. That was the game on Friday. It was great, like you said. That grand slam from Judge is just what the doctor ordered.
Especially for him. Not just for the team, but for him too, because he went to 16 games without hitting a home run. So let's hope that catapults him into, what he was doing before the 16-game drought. So hopefully he gets hot again and he carries that into the playoffs, because let's be honest, Judge has to have a big postseason this year for us to go forward in the playoffs, whether it's the World Series, ALCS. He's got to be the guy. And we have not seen him have a really big postseason where he carried us throughout the whole postseason, right? So I know Stanton's always hot in the playoffs. That's great. But we need Judge. We need Soto. We need the big guys to come up big in the playoffs.
Yeah, we absolutely do. And, it's a bit concerning that during the, the series of the season, or, one of the series of the seasons, because let's face it, Boston's not likely to catch up to us, but
Right.
they're still the hot rival. They always will be in our hearts and minds, right? So this is no time to monkey around, and nor to conduct any monkey business. And I'm thinking about somebody whose last name rhymes with soul, as in have a better soul. person you met at him. And I'm going to get to him now. But before I do, I want to talk about Weaver, who was a revelation in his last outing.
Yep.
And I've had my concerns. I don't know about you, Chris. I've had my concerns about Weaver throughout the season.
But he's been pretty solid all year long, right? He's had a couple of, missteps, but for the most part, I think he's been pretty good. Now, if he could close games, that's amazing. I mean, because we don't want Holmes closing games, right? I mean, I don't think anybody wants to see him because I just don't think he's got the mental readiness to be the closer, right? I think you have to have a certain mentality to be the closer in, especially in the postseason. That's what made Rivera so great. That's what makes some of these other guys so great, right? I just don't see Holmes as that guy. I think he could come in the 6th, 7th inning, 8th inning, maybe as a good setup guy, but closer. And Weaver looked like that was some stuff on the mound when he, right?
Yep.
So let's hope and pray he could be our closer for the rest of the season for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's certainly putting a bid in for the job, and it's not like Holmes is winning any favor for keeping it. And
right.
Gregory, I like what you're saying there. I think that's exactly what we're seeing. I think at the minimum, based on like even what Chris just said, Weaver's going to be part of that long relief, longer and longer.
I don't know if we'll see all three of those guys make the roster for long relief. Nestor, I would think so. Schmidt, I think, will end up being the 4th starter when they need one. In the next round. The first round, you only played the three games. Oh, if it's a wild card. If it's not the wild card, then yeah, it's a 5-game series. Maybe they go with a 4-man rotation. I'm not sure, but I don't think all three will make the roster in the bullpen. One of them is going to be a starter as the 4th starter, and one probably is in the bullpen as the long relief guy in case somebody, doesn't pitch well starting wise, and then he could come in and try to give you some innings. So I think Stroh's going to be the odd man out just because he's not. I don't think he's really ever pitched out of the bullpen. Cortez has, Schmidt has as well, and one of those guys is going to be the starter, the 4th starter. Who it is, I don't know, but so we'll see.
Yeah, and they don't have much time to figure it out.
Right, exactly.
Days are dwindling fast.
Right.
So they better be sorting it out fast and having those behind door conversations. And so Michael's agreeing. I've been happy to see what I've been seeing from Weaver. Definitely, taking back my words of apology to Holmes, who always has given me, intestinal issues. But earlier on in the season, I'm like, yes, he is my closer. He's looking great. And now I just don't know where or what to do with him.
Right.
And a few others have joined. Joe, great to see you back here. Hope everything's doing great. And so it's just so the bullpen's going to be a big question, but you know what? The starting rotation is a pretty big question too, because it seems like, with Rodon and now Cole, well, it's always kind of been Cole. You never know what you're going to get.
Right.
And so I just don't mean in gamesmanship. I mean in the attitudinal nonsense that we've been seeing from these Lady Madonnas this season. And don't worry, Chris, I said something about how I'm going to go into tunes, start singing during the show.
Oh boy.
I'm not going Lady Madonna on you.
Thank you.
Everyone can relax. But all right, let's just put the elephant in the room with the whole thing, because first of all, it is such a bad look when you are a Cy Young winner and undeniably, no matter who is talking about you, the hottest pitcher on the planet, in MLB and the planet, and not just in Yankee world, are we hearing this? And to put on the display you put on yesterday was unprofessional, and it was disrespectful, in my opinion, to the game of baseball and to the organization. Like, who do you think you are with your, are you all of a sudden Diana Ross's Supremes? And you had to do the stop with the 4 fingers? Stop. Oh, let me get it on camera. Stop. No, 4. And then like sweep across. I go there.
You know what? It made no sense. It made no sense for the situation they were in. If it was later in the game, I could kind of agree, but not in the 4th inning. You haven't given up a hit yet. There's 1 out in the 4th inning, men on first, and you decide to walk him. It made him look so weak, like he was giving up almost. Like, I'm not going to get this guy out, so let's just walk him. You know what? Pitch to him. Just pitch to him. Eventually, listen. Devers is going to be in Boston for a long time, right? He just signed a big contract. He'll be there for a bunch of years. Cole's going to be here for a bunch of years. You got to figure it out. We're going to play the Red Sox a bunch of times every year, and we're going to have to get Devers out eventually. And it's probably going to be in a big spot in the postseason again, right? So you know what? Cole's got to figure this out. He can't just walk him every at bat. How many times, Lynn, you would remember, and all of our people in the chat would remember, how much did David Ortiz kill us time and time again? Not once did we walk him in the 4th inning. We might have walked him later on in the game, right, to maybe set up a double play or something, but there's no way we walked him in the 4th inning and just gave up on him. I've always said we should have pitched him differently. We should have pitched him more inside, brush him off the plate a little bit. Don't make him feel comfortable in the box. And maybe that's what they got to do with Devers. I'm not saying hit the guy, but you know what? Pitch him inside. But they got to figure it out, because you're going to see this guy for the next, decade? He's a young guy. He's not going anywhere. Devers is going to be a Red Sox for probably the rest of his career. And Cole's going to be a Yankee for the rest of his career. So they're going to have a whole bunch of more at-bats. And here's the history. He's batting .350 now against Gerrit Cole. 14 for 40. 9 home runs and 19 RBIs. Figure it out. Like he figured, like the same thing. Like Devers figured out Cole. Cole has to figure out Devers now. It's got to happen.
Yeah, and you know what his little dance shimmy move gave him? It gave him Devers rent-free in his head for the rest of the time they have together. And they have a lot of years together yet to come. It let Devers and the world know that he is scared of Devers and would rather pitch around him than deal with him, because he doesn't have the stuff. He's not confident in his stuff against Devers. Right. So way to show those cards, man. And no, you know what else you're doing? You're giving power to Devers that he hasn't necessarily earned around the league.
Right.
And de facto, I will even add that it's low-key insulting to Judge, who gets pitched around, by every pitcher in Major League Baseball this season, virtually. I'm exaggerating a bit.
Right, pitch around him, and maybe he goes after a bad pitch and you get him out, but they got to figure it out.
Yeah.
This is not a one-game thing. This guy's going to be around for a long time.
So how dare you equate Devers to Judge, in my mind? And I'm bending and stretching for that point. I don't care, but I'm annoyed, and this is my annoyance. And it is not good sportsmanship. It is not the Yankees' way. Joe Torre, Joe Torre would have had you for dinner after the game. And instead, you're lucky that you have Boone, who sits you down for milk and cookies and makes up some fairy tale in the post-game, show about, we talked about it. We spitballed it a bit. Blah, blah.
And maybe they did. You know what? They probably did talk about it, but not in the 4th inning. No. Maybe later on in the game.
Exactly.
Right.
This was all on Cole.
Right.
And Boone is not even good enough as a manager to cover his own guy's ass.
And Boone's reaction after he did it, you seen him. He put his head down and he was shaking it like, what are you doing? You don't do that in the 4th inning. You just don't. Pitch. You know what? And if he gets a hit, if he gets a home run, all right, move on. But you don't walk the guy. You make it 1st and 2nd, right? And now you're in a tougher situation against this team. And think of the confidence you're giving, or the nudge or whatever, to the rest of the lineup, right? You're walking this guy for no reason to get to O'Neill. How do you think Tyler O'Neill felt? Or, you know, he probably
Yeah,
was
and
like,
how did
wow.
that work out for you, chump? How did it
Exactly.
work out for you?
Right.
So yeah, and Joe, I'm with you 100%. That was just Alex Cora taking advantage and fanning flames that weren't even in existence. Devers leans in tight on that plate like what happens with Rizzo all the time. That
Yeah.
is all that was. And so one thing had zippo to do with the other.
I think he was trying to throw inside on him, but I
Yeah,
think just to kind of brush him
it
back a
was the
little
cutter
bit.
that went astray.
Yeah, I don't think he was trying to hit him. So I
No.
agree with Joe.
How about telling Devers to adjust for the pitch that's coming and back away from the plate a little bit?
Right.
Let's take a look at your mechanics. But I'm not in the mood to defend Cole, so I'm going to shift away from that.
No, you can't defend him on that. You can't.
No, it is just indefensible.
And he's our ace. It's not like he's our number 5 starter. This guy's our ace. He's supposed to be the guy that's going to face everybody out there without, and I listen, I still love Cole. He's still our ace and all that, but he looked so weak in that situation. So weak. I don't think I've ever seen a pitcher look that weak against another batter ever.
No.
Right?
No.
I can't remember a guy getting intentionally walked in the 4th inning.
With no man on.
Right. You're down and you're up 1-0. Worst case, he hits a home run. All right, tie game. Right?
All it did was open up the gate to disaster and the loss. That's all Cole did for us yesterday.
And he was going, I'm throwing a no-hitter, but he didn't give up a hit through the first 3 innings. Just you're throwing the ball good, do it. And it obviously it changed. I'm not saying that walk lost the game for us, but you know what? It put the ball, it started the ball rolling in that direction. I'll say it that way, right? Because after that, the floodgates opened and game over. And especially the way that the Yankees were hitting or not hitting, there was no shot of us coming back.
Yep, and Frank, you're right. Cora was all but saying it after the game yesterday that of course there's going to be retaliation, and they're going to use it against Judge either by intentionally walking him so that we don't benefit from like the one guy we could count on lately.
Yeah.
So one thing you could always expect from the Red Sox is repercussions. And we hand them out too, so we can't really complain about it. Right. But Cole needs to be in timeout, man, because I'm going to stick with the Frank. Thanks for the Diana Ross compliment there. Yes. It is time for him to think it all over. He really, he needs to stop and think it all over.
Yes,
because it was Rodon. I expect that from more than Cole. So, and now that I said it, let's see what we'll get today from that. So, and before I'm going to get off the Cole train in a minute.
You got to vent first. You got to let it out.
I do. I think the world will be much more welcoming of me if I could get this out here.
Yes.
So thank you all. But would you ever expect when watching the post-game show, which, by the way, can I also say that Nick Swisher belongs in that studio with Curry and Bob Lorenz? Yeah. Because what he brings to that table and the way he broke down what happened yesterday is exactly what people need to hear and understand. And it's not because he's Swishalicious. He is. Always will be to some of us. But he brings that perspective to the table that Curry and Lorenz don't have, who I both love. I don't want them gone, but since they're playing musical chairs with that third chair anyway, and sometimes it's Nelly, sometimes it's the guy who looks like Dr. Phil. I never remember his name. Very pleasant guy. Keep Swisher. I am off the rails today. It is clear.
It's good is when you have that third guy who's a former player, that always works out good, right? He's going to tell the truth. He's going to tell you from the player's side rather than, the people like us or in the booth that'll just kind of give you the technical way. But it's great to hear a player's side of things, why something works or doesn't work and why they did a certain thing. So Lou might be right on this. I'm sure that's a possibility. I don't know if that's a super hot take, but that's definitely a possibility.
I haven't been seeing him giving any baby love in any other games, though.
Right. No,
So
that's true. He could be. Listen, maybe not just for the option year, but maybe for the playoffs. Maybe he's trying to kind of ease into the playoffs instead of going, full bore. Maybe he's just trying to kind of pace himself going into the playoffs, and then he could go, all right, I'm going to throw 99 now on every pitch or whatever. So, but it's possible. Listen, when it comes to players, we really don't know because we don't know what's going on in their head and everything else. So,
Chris, great to have you. We always love having other fan base here in the show to talk about it. And yeah, you were surprised too. And surprised is just such a delicate, sweet word. It's Sunday. Maybe we should be so polite. I have other words for it, but I don't really need to go to confession. So I'm gonna avoid.
there might be
those.
children watching anyway.
There may be.
Right?
There may be. Oh, thank you. That will keep me in line.
Yeah, right.
That will definitely keep that good. Those are the words to manage my behavior with. There could be children watching. Okay. But I'm going to end with this. And did I ever think I would see this running under the screen during the post-game show that I just went off on a tangent about when my point was really about this very thing? Here's what I took screenshots of that I can't show you now because I'm scared of doing anything fancy on this show today. The way it started. But Cole, one of the tickers, Cole, 7 runs allowed. Most since June 9th, 2022 against the Twins. Next one, Cole. Look at me being the ticker. Allowed 10 of final 12 batters to reach safely. Let me read that again. Allowed 10 of final 12 batters to reach safely. Red Sox 0 for 9, 2 strikeouts, and hit by first pitch. Whatever, that was all right. That's not Cole related. Cole, here's another one. Cole, this is a good one. Cole intentionally walked Devers with bases empty in 4th. First intentional base on balls in regular season since September 12th, 2017. He hasn't done it since then. Why now? Why with him? Why at all?
I just think it's a mental thing now. Like he's mentally beat by this guy, and he for whatever reason he can't get over it. Like he can't get past it. He can't say, okay, let me try this. And I'm sure he's tried, different strategies, how to pitch to him. I'm sure he's gone through it a lot. But you got to keep trying things because, like I said, both of these players are going to be around for a long time, right? Cole is going to be here for a long time. Devers is going to be in Boston for a long time. So they got to figure it out. And Cole has to figure this out. Just like, he figured it out against Cole. Cole's got to figure it out against him. We have to see adjustments made here, to stop him. Otherwise, it's going to be David Ortiz part 2.
And here's what I know about yesterday's performance, other than the obvious. This was Cole's. I haven't checked in with the stat views yet, but 4.1 innings pitched, 5 hits, 7 runs, 3 base on balls, 2 strikeouts. 2 strikeouts in 4 and a third innings.
Yeah, and that's not a good.
3 hit by pitches. So is that him, coddling his arm, or is that something worse? But that is not a line you expect from the ace.
Well, here's the positive thing about this.
Give it to me.
We're probably not going to play Boston in the playoffs, right? So if he's got a mental whatever against the Red Sox and especially against Devers, we won't have to play him again after today, right? Until next year. So that's the good part. Think of it that way. We don't see Boston again until next season. And I think that's a positive. We don't have to worry about it. Now, Cole has to step up now, right? The rest of the way, how many starts he's got left. And then in the playoffs, he has to step up. He's the ace. Just like I said earlier, Judge, Soto, even Stanton, those guys have to come up big in the playoffs this year. Have to. There's no excuses. I don't want to hear, well, we went against, that team that had really good pitching. I don't care. We're not supposed to be the team that falls to these teams. Oh, because they have good pitching. No, we have to do it. Judge is getting paid $40 million. I want to see it in the postseason now. Carry this team through the postseason. Soto, you want to get 50 million, 60 million next off season, a season? Do it in the postseason. He's done it already, right? With the Nationals. I want to see him do it here.
Are you trying to manage my behavior by shifting me away from Cole and onto the offense? That was very well played.
Because I think we got it out about Cole. And we're not going to see Cole against Devers for the rest of the after today. Obviously, we're not going to see Devers or the Sox again after today. So we don't have to stress about it anymore. We'll wait till next year whenever they play Boston again. Maybe they'll skip Cole's start when they play Boston. But
yeah, because that's the other thing he created, right? This is going to be the thing.
Yeah.
This is in the room. This is going to be the big elephant in the stadium every single time.
Yeah.
And it's a distraction no one ever needs. So, and an Egyptian magician was asking, or who was it? Somebody, Christopher Council was asking about Rodon, and his record against Boston. How do we feel about Rodon against Boston? Anyone in the chat, or Chris, do you have any numbers? I am not a numbers girl in life, let alone this morning. So
I could look it up while we're talking.
I really don't know. But here's what I'll say unmathematically. Rodon now has an opportunity to look like the sweetest smelling, most well-behaved rose in the garden after what Cole did yesterday. So my word to Rodon is don't try to, outdo that. Let that rose stink and melt in the garden and go out and do your business. And you know what? Rodon, will always have those little hissies. The little stomps, but as long as he keeps that command and location going that we've been seeing, hopefully the ship will get righted today. And to your point, Chris, the bats got to come out hot and heavy. And let's see if Judge broke something out of him that's going to continue.
Well, just looking at his last couple of starts, he's had mixed results against Boston. His last start was on July 28th against Boston in Fenway. He picked up the win, pitched 6 1/3, 5 hits, 2 runs, walked 1, struck out 7. So that's the good. But the start before that, he started in Boston on June 15th. He pitched 5 innings, 7 hits, 5 runs, walked 3, and struck out 7. So those are his 2 starts against Boston this year. So it's either going to be great or very bad.
So it's Forrest Gump. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Is Rodon?
It's basically Rodon all season, right? He's had that type of season. He's been really good at times, and then he's had some clunkers too. So he still has the second most wins in the American League this year.
Yes.
14 wins. That's not bad.
No. And arguably, at the end of the day, we still have 2 of the hottest pitchers in the game. Perhaps they, needed to spend an extra day in pre-K and got skipped too soon. And we'll always see a little bit of that. But they are still those guys. And let's just hope that things pivot the way they're going to pivot. I guess things were getting a little too sleepy between us and the Sox anyway. So now we have this will be the generational thing now is the Devers Cole situation. And so that'll give us something to keep coming at each other about.
Well, like I said, at least it's something we don't have to worry about till next season.
Right. That's right.
Hopefully.
And Gregory, I feel like you're saying this to me and you're not wrong. So I'm going to take that to heart, shake it off, win the AL East, win the ALCS, and win the whole damn thing. Remember, this season was all in or a bust.
Agree 100%. Absolutely.
100%, Gregory, and it's still a question mark. And
Right.
so it's still a big question mark. And
Right.
so
Because
we gotta see the bats and the pitches in sync with each other all the way throughout every single game, no matter who you're facing.
yeah,
Um,
that's what it's going to come down to. It's going to come down to the offense. Trust me. I think the pitching is going to be fine the rest of the season and into the playoffs. I don't think that's going to be our question mark. Our question mark is going to be that lineup, because we just haven't seen them do it, consistently this year, and we haven't seen them in the past in the playoffs. Can these guys turn it around? Can Judge have that big postseason that we've been wanting him to do? Can Soto have a big postseason? Can someone else step up? Can it be Austin Wells, Jazz Chisholm? Can somebody, Gleyber Torres, somebody step up and have a really good postseason?
yeah, and so you said the word lineup, and by the way, it was on before the show started the first time. So you probably saw it while we were trying to figure out how to get ourselves back on live. But I found it really interesting that Cabrera's at first today. So straight down the line, it's Torres, Soto, Judge, Jazz, Stanton, Dominguez, Volpe, Cabrera, Trevina with Rodon, and that's the lineup we have there. So how are we feeling about the lineup?
I feel okay. I'd like to see. I would like to see Austin Wells be the no doubt starter at catcher, right? Because he's been offensively, he's been exactly what we need. I would love to see him there every game. First base has been a total black hole for us this season. Yeah, Rice had his moment, couple of weeks, he was good, but for the most part, he wasn't hitting. Rizzo now is not hitting. We know DJ was a complete zero there for a while too.
Yeah.
Maybe Cabrera could get hot. I mean, I'd love to see Cabrera play more, but I think if you see him play more, you might see him get exposed, and then maybe he won't hit as much. So I think they're trying to, protect him a little bit in that sense. But at this point, play him, right? Because first base has
Look,
been a nothing for us.
at this point in the season, you empty your pockets and put it all out on the table. And Eunice, you've been advocating all the way through on every time I see you in the chat, and I've been with you on it. Can we please see Cabrera play more?
Yeah.
Because, and to everything you just said, Chris, the more on the field, the more experience, the better. And holy crap, if anyone's proven himself, it's Cabrera. What position, any position, they could tell him today, pretend you're IKF and go pitch the last two innings, okay, and do a good job, and he would do it, well.
I agree.
Let this kid play.
Yeah. And you love his energy. You love what he brings to the team. I would love, and listen, there's no down to him playing first base at this point, right? With Rizzo and whoever else that's been there has done nothing for the team. So you know what? Give him a shot. There's not, if he stinks, then all right, go back to Rizzo if you want. But he might give you something, at least speed
Yes.
on the base paths, something,
Right. You could always pivot them back and forth, and so at least let him get him the start out there, and then do what you just said, Chris. And Lou, look at us seeing eye to eye. That I'd like to see Volpe sit, and
I'll disagree there. Maybe for a game to get a rest. I agree, but he should be.
That's where I'm going.
But you know what? I'm with that about Judge too. I think Judge, you know what? Give the guy a break. One day, just give him a break. It's okay to sit him.
One game, and on a schedule of sorts,
right?
When it makes
especially going
sense.
into the playoffs. These
not just the left, right, hokey pokey thing when you're constructing that roster, that lineup. But you know what? Judge and Volpe don't. They got to be tired, man.
Right. Exactly. Especially Judge. Judge is center field. That's a lot, and he's a little bit older. Volpe is a kid. He's 23. You know what? Yeah, he's probably tired. And he could probably use a day off too. But Judge could give him the day off. Like, to be honest, the other day, I forgot what day I said I could see them. Oh, the last game against the Cubs, because that was the last game before heading home. You figured, all right, they won the series already. They could have sat them that game. If they lose, no big deal. They lost anyway. But sit them that game, And now with this, with the West Coast trip, sit him today. So this way he's got that extra day off before they fly to, what is it? Oakland or Seattle's their first game, whoever it is. But you know what? Give the guy a break, at least heading into the playoffs,
Most definitely. And Gregory, right. He's essentially, the utility guy for the infield, as we're seeing him on first today. And we've seen him at short already. We have the sample size there on that. So it's not like we don't have the depth in the bench to do these things, whether it's for Judge or Cabrera. So friggin' do them.
Right. And, you got Grisham. Grisham can play center, and Grisham. And let's be honest with ourselves. Grisham is a better fielding center fielder than anybody on the roster right now. So
yeah,
it doesn't hurt us, at least defensively. Offensively, yeah. But
that little thing about a Gold Glove matters. Says something about a guy.
I don't think Judge is playing Gold Glove defense. He's playing good defense in center field, but he's not Gold Glove.
Nope.
I like him, but I'd rather see him in right field. I think he's a much better. He's a Gold Glove right fielder, I think, but not a center fielder.
No, I mean, I know it's his preferred and etc., but much more comfortable when he was. I was much more comfortable with.
And I don't think we'll see him next season in center. I think it'll be.
Let's hope not. However that shakes out, and whatever that means in terms of who goes, which we don't even have time for today.
Right, that's a whole other show.
And Mr. Barrows, I saw you come in earlier. Salute for joining us. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think the theme of the day is we're all largely disgusted by Cole. And we'll just hope he pivots back. I would have liked a little more accountability in the post-game interview. I mean, I know the reporters are going hard on him to get it out of him, and so maybe he was just not going to give them what they wanted and to say, yeah, I blew it and I take full accountability.
And you know what? He made them wait too, right?
Like that though. What?
He made them wait to say something, right? I think 40 minutes or 45 minutes.
Time.
Yeah, and he never does that. So obviously they had I think him and Boone had to get their story straight, like, all right, this is what we're gonna say to the media. It probably was BS anyway, but the team. They say what maybe we don't want to hear, but they say what they want to say. Maybe not the truth, but they're almost, you could put them in the political conversation of how they speak, right? Not going to get political, but you know what I mean.
Yes. when we're keeping it in one particular lane when you say that. Yes, let's be clear.
I'm not getting
that would be. Yeah, look, don't make me go off the rails in different directions.
Oh boy, no. Stay here, Lynn. We don't want to.
I'm staying right here. I'm staying in my Diana Ross lane.
Oh boy,
I want to remind everybody that the Cole move from now on is 4-point swerve.
Think of it as think of the podcast as a bowling lane, right? And you're bowling. Instead of going into the gutter and getting into that lane of politics, we're gonna put the gutter things up that stop you from throwing a gutter, right? So we're going to keep you right on the lane. We're going to keep you right on the Yankees. Right. We're not going to go over there because we don't want to talk about that.
And
stuff.
My sister, who is sitting in the chat, is laughing her ass off now because I still need that gutter closed when I bowl if I want any kind of a score on my scorecard.
Stay right here. Stay with us here.
So that works. Right. Wow, we've been going all kinds of places this whole show. Yes. And so, just looking ahead to this game, it's the first, I want to say, and Sierra's going to be back next week. She was in the chat earlier before the, internet exploded on my lap and I didn't know what to do. And so she'll be back next week. And we're really going to, today could be the day that we're breaking our streak of always a rubber game. It's not a rubber game Sunday for the first time ever, but will it be the game that gives us the win out of the 4?
Right.
No splitsy.
Yeah, don't split.
Split is unacceptable. We just talked about bowling. Karen's putting it in the chat. Bowling is not Lynn's forte.
There you go.
And bowling, this is a different sport. We don't do splits in baseball. They
Right.
got to get the win today.
Exactly.
Period.
3 out of 4, 5 out of 2, 5 and 2 on the homestand. That's what I want to hear at the end of this day.
How far do you want to see Rodon go? What's your prediction?
I want to see him go at least into the 6th. If he goes into the 6th, I'll feel good, because then I think the bullpen could take us. I feel confident about the bullpen lately. Even Tim Hill's pitching great, or he's pitched great all season. If Weaver's good for the 9th, that's great, because he should be. He didn't pitch yesterday. If we could piece together 3 innings, yeah. So at least get 6 innings out of Rodon. 6 innings, 2 runs, but we need the bats to wake up. We need them to score runs.
Who wouldn't be happy with the bullpen when they're basically our starting rotation?
Right.
But yeah, I mean, look, whatever it's going to take, and yeah, it's going to matter who we get back in time. What the hell is going on with Poteet? I rely on Ciara for those reports. What the hell's going on with Hamilton?
Hamilton's up.
Is Hamilton up?
Yeah.
Okay, I might have. I guess
I don't know if he pitched yesterday or the day before. He just pitched recently.
But I know that Poteet had an additional little kind of injury that delayed him a bit, but it already feels like that should be over and done with. So, next week we'll dive into that a little bit more. Okay. But we gotta win this, especially after yesterday's drama. We need Rodon to be Captain Commando, and we need him to get into 7 at a minimum. I'm throwing that down. I want to see him deep into the 7th inning, because let's keep our bullpen lively and perky. I don't think we'll have Weaver yet, because he went long on Friday. We knew we weren't going to see him yesterday. Not so sure that they're going to use him today unless they absolutely have to. So
I think in the 9th inning we'll see him. I don't think we'll see him go 2 innings. Maybe the 9th.
Great. Let him come in and slam the deal shut.
I would like that.
And so, Evan, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. And so let's go back to way back to the top of the show with Spencer's trivia question of the week. And so we are not celebrating, but remembering the 2004 ALCS Red Sox against the Yankees. We had the upper hand for the first. Chris, did you somehow catch my cold?
Maybe.
Even though we are miles apart. I'm sorry, I'm hearing it. So in that ALCS series, we took the first 3. We really had the Sox by the you-know-whats. And then they swoop in and they take the last 4 right out from under us. And so Spencer's question was, Game 7, the one that made it all official, which wall-punching pitcher was the starter for the Yankees in that final game? And at the beginning, I saw some answers from, let's see, I think Kevin Brown was one of the answers. I'm not remembering some of the others. Let's see. I know, put him back. John Lieber was one of the answers. The correct answer is Kevin Brown. Yep. So congratulations. Several of you got it right this week. And so Spencer, another remarkable one. Yes. Every week you always make it about the series, the team that we're facing at this particular time. We appreciate you participating in that way. And so, Chris, what are your last words? What's your look ahead for the rest of the week, knowing that we're heading out on the road?
Yeah, it's going to be a West Coast trip. Not easy games, right? At Seattle and at Oakland. Oakland's been one of the best teams since the All-Star break, so that's not going to be easy games. They never are in Oakland, right? We always have problems with Oakland. So hopefully we could, out of those 6 games, you know what? Hopefully we get 4 out of 2 at least. I don't want to split in those 6 games. Hopefully we win at least 4 games, and then we come home and guess who we play? September 24th, the series of the season, basically Yankees Baltimore for 3 games, and it's going to be for the division, and it's probably going to be for the number 1 the number one spot in the playoffs. So,
Yep. Baltimore, who we just handed a gift wrapped box of a jump up in the standings. Yesterday with yesterday's loss. So those numbers are going to get close and wide, close and wide, close and wide until the end. And we can't lose ground again. We were 3 games up. We need to get to 4 games up, 5 games up, and we still wouldn't be comfortable. So listen, Chris, I really want to thank you for hopping on with me.
anytime.
You're always such a great co-host and so full of knowledge, and you put up with my nonsense, and
That's okay.
that can be hard to take. and to everyone in the chat, thanks for coming back. Thanks for saying, oh, okay, they're trying. I'm sure they'll come back in a minute. We did, and you were here. So thanks for that.
Hey, thanks for inviting me. And remember, you could always, I'm your Cabrera. I'm your bench guy. If you need me, I'll be there. So just
you are super utility and a super human being to match. And everybody should follow Chris on Twitter. Chris, you got to spit out all your letters in your handle on Twitter.
It's pretty easy. It's at CP7NY. Just follow me.
Yeah.
I'm always in Yankee chats talking and stuff. And remember, I got the podcast coming out, the NYNY Baseball Talk podcast. It's out. It's just on Spotify for now, but we're trying to get it. I think we're just 4 episodes so far. So we'll definitely be out there more.
Yes. So please,
Thank you.
His podcast, Chris is a podcaster, a podcaster's podcaster. So you got to check out these 2 new ventures of his. I know that I will be. And listen, it's a whole new day, and Cole's not on the mound, so I'm feeling pretty good.
There you go.
Thanks for being here, and as always, you all have a reserved seat right here on the upper deck. Go Yankees.